What kind of rivalry lasts for centuries, destroys entire regions, and keeps dragging millions of people back into war again and again? And why did the freezing Black Sea, the Balkans, and the gates of Eastern Europe become battlefields where two giant empires refused to back down? For more than 300 years, the long and brutal series of conflicts known as the Russo-Turkish Wars turned Eastern Europe and the Black Sea region into one of the most dangerous war zones in history, as the expanding Russian Empire and the powerful Ottoman Empire fought repeatedly for territory, trade routes, influence, religion, and control over strategic cities and seas, while entire nations in the Balkans found themselves trapped between two military superpowers struggling for dominance. As Ottoman influence slowly weakened in parts of Europe, Russia saw an opportunity to expand southward toward warm water ports and increase its influence among Orthodox Christian populations living under Ottoman rule, while Ottoman leaders feared that every Russian victory pushed the empire closer to collapse. And over time, the rivalry escalated into massive wars involving gigantic armies, brutal sieges, naval battles, winter campaigns, and devastating destruction across places like Crimea, the Balkans, the Caucasus, and the Black Sea coast. But unlike many wars focused on one single battle, the Russo-Turkish Wars became a repeating cycle of invasion, rebellion, revenge, and shifting alliances stretching across generations, where one victory often planted the seeds for another future conflict. And one of the most important lessons from this rivalry is that when empires compete endlessly for power without solving deeper political and ethnic tensions, wars can continue for centuries and reshape entire regions forever.
Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, massive Russian and Ottoman armies repeatedly clashed in brutal campaigns that changed the political map of Eastern Europe. Russian forces pushed southward through the Balkans and Crimea, while Ottoman armies struggled to defend weakening frontiers against increasingly modernized enemies. And some of the most famous campaigns included the Russian capture of Crimea, the brutal fighting along the Danube River, and bloody sieges where starvation, disease, freezing winters, and artillery devastated soldiers and civilians alike. Naval warfare also became critical as Russian fleets challenged Ottoman control of the Black Sea, while nationalist uprisings across the Balkans created even more instability inside Ottoman territory. Cities were destroyed, villages burned, and millions of civilians suffered through forced migration, famine, and occupation as the wars spread fear across southeastern Europe. By the late 19th century, the Ottoman Empire had lost large territories and influence, while Russia emerged as a dominant regional power. But the rivalry also helped create new tensions that would later contribute to future conflicts in Europe and the Middle East, proving that even victorious empires often create dangerous consequences that outlive the wars themselves. The deeper lesson of the Russo-Turkish Wars is not only about military power, but about ambition, nationalism, religion, and the struggle for influence between collapsing and rising empires. Because history repeatedly shows that when powerful nations compete for control over strategic regions without compromise, generations can become trapped in endless cycles of war, destruction, and instability.